Good morning and welcome back to COVID Computer Camp. Today we're going to be hopefully finishing our Hangman game. We got started yesterday. Let's have a look at where we are right now. So you remember that we created a little chart here. Where did I put it? Right here, showing what I kind of saw as the planning process for making this game. We've gone through a couple of steps already. We did the prep game stage where we just basically created two lists with a bunch of words on them. One list is the permanent list, and the next one is the temporary list that stuff gets put onto and then scratched off of when we finish a word successfully. We've set up the match, which is we've gone ahead and let me show you what that looks like. So we've set up the match to such an extent that the words are being broadcast along the top here, and a little underline is being put under here. So it's picking one of the words and then deleting it off the list, putting it up here, and then now the next step is going to be play. We have to put the letters A through Z at the bottom of the page and set it up so that we can click them to be able to select the letters up here. And if we pick the right letter, the letter should appear. And if we pick the wrong letter, it will, of course, progress us through this Hangman animation to the point where if we miss too many times, we're in big trouble. Okay, so we're going to start coding on the letters used. Remember, this is the entire alphabet, just rendered with a black background behind them so that we can click them even if we click on one of the transparent parts of the letter. I want to generate these letters, so I've got every one of them being a different costume. I want to generate them right across the bottom of the screen here so that we have A through Z here. We can click on any letter we want to. So let's get started on that coding. We'll start with a green flag. Here we are. Let me zoom in for you guys. All right, so when the green flag is clicked, I was just going to do the code underneath here for generating this list, but then I realized that when the level resets itself, we have to do this again, and we can't, anything that happens under the green flag we know only happens once. So what we're going to have to do here is just broadcast a message that says to do the rest of the stuff. So we're going to go broadcast a new message, and that message is called, let's type in reset alphabet list. And so anytime we need to regenerate this list, because they're going to be disappearing as we click on them as well, we can just broadcast that message and that'll happen. Okay, so we're going to go over to when I receive that message. So when we click the green flag, we're just going to jump right to this part here. Okay, let's tell it to go to its starting position, which is going to be on the left here, and then we'll start making clones and copying across the screen. So we're going to go to our motion blocks, grab a go to XY command, and let's put some numbers in there that will set up our starting position. My numbers are -222 for the X coordinate, for the Y coordinate -155, which should already be there for you guys. All right, we're going to switch the alphabet to the first letter, which is also the first costume, and I've set this up very deliberately this way. Each costume is named after its letter, and they're all in perfect numerical order. Okay, and that makes stuff way simpler for the software. Okay, let's go looks to our looks menu, and we'll switch costume to the letter A. Now you can probably imagine what's going to happen next. We're going to be making a clone of the letter A, then moving over, then making another clone, etc., etc. Let's keep going here. So we'll go to our control blocks. We'll repeat. Now we know how many times we want to repeat this time. We don't need to put a variable in there. We know we're going to go through the 26 letters of the alphabet. A is already there, so we're going to do 25 more times. 26 letters in the alphabet, and so we start at A and go 25 will take us to Z. Okay, the first thing we're going to do, of course, is create a clone of ourselves. So we'll go to control blocks, and towards the bottom we'll find create a clone of myself and pop that in there. That will put that letter into the proper location. Now we're going to change. Now we move over to the width of the next letter, right? I've done some playing around here. let me show you how I do this, guys. So I picked a random letter here, amount of X movement here. So let's go change X by a certain number. I wasn't sure how tight these had to be to fit them across the width of the screen. So all I did was I put a number in here like 10, and then I clicked on this to make it start generating letters of the alphabet. Let's see what happens here. I'll click on it. And you can see, okay, first of all, we're not changing our costume, right? It's all the letter A all the way across. Let's actually get it to go next costume as well. Go to looks, next costume. And that will start to generate the alphabet now, AB3, A through Z. Now that's way too tight. You can't tell the letters apart. We want to widen it out so that it gets to the width of the screen, but not so narrow that the letters are overlapping each other. So all I had to do to set this up properly was just start playing with different numbers. So I need it wider. Let's try 15. You see, we still have some room. 17 is good. Let's see if 18 works. And now you see where I'm coming from. So 18 is perfect. It gets us right from A to Z. I could do something a little bit smaller, like maybe 17.8 or something. Let's see what that looks like. All right, good. Now you're noticing all the other letters are still cloned underneath, right? Until I hit the stop button, they're not gonna be there. So we're gonna have to make sure to clear out that list every time that we reset the alphabet. But that's something we'll do a little bit later in the code. So this is working nicely. We're doing alphabet now, and there's nice spacing between the letters, and the spacing between the left and the right is perfect. So I would say 18 there, but just because I'm a perfectionist, I'm changing that to 17.8. Okay, so now all we have to do is tell it what to do when we click on each of these guys. And then we have to send the script back to the alphabet here and get it to say, okay, I clicked on this letter. Does that letter actually appear in this word or not? So there's a couple of steps there. Let me finish. Oh, Maya's here now. Good morning, Maya.
Good morning.
You had some internet troubles or something this morning, sweetie?
Yeah, my laptop completely shut off and wouldn't let me open it.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. A little bit of a cursed beginning to the day, but we started without you. I hope you're okay with that.
It's no problem. It seems to be going really, really well.
Okay, good. All right. So now we've created a clone of ourselves here. Let's go when this sprite clicked. So let's go to our control blocks, and we'll tell it what to do when I actually touch one of the individual letters. So when the sprite clicked is an event. So the first thing we want to do is tell it that we need Scratch to know that this is the letter we picked. When I click on the letter J, J is the letter we picked, and then we're going to go look up at the top. So we have to fill up a variable with that letter that we just clicked. Let's go to our control block, or to our variable blocks, and we'll set a variable. I believe the variable is already there. It's called letter picked. Yep. Set letter picked to costume name. So costume name is under looks. It's a little bubble towards the little bottom here. It says costume number, but we can change it to costume name. So remember, the costume name is going to be the letter of the alphabet that it is. So if you click on the J, costume name will be J, and it'll set letter picked to J. And what we're going to do then is we're going to broadcast a message. So let's go to our control blocks. Our events blocks. We'll go broadcast. Evaluate player pick is the next new broadcast we're going to do. And that's, let me save my file here. So the new message is called evaluate player pick. There we go. Okay. All right, so this is what's going to send the script back to the alphabet to compare the letters that we've clicked and see whether we picked the correct one or not. After we send that broadcast out, we are done with that letter. We want it to disappear. So we're going to delete that clone. Let's go over to our control blocks, delete this clone. And now I believe we can test this out, at least in a rudimentary form. So I'm going to click the green flag. I'm going to generate a word across the top of the screen here. And now when I click on a letter, let's click on the letter E. It's not going to appear up here, but you see the letter does disappear off the screen here. Let's click one more letter, L, or here's P as well. So P is the last letter that I clicked, And that should be what's inside this variable right now, which is costume picked. So let's just double check that. We're going to go and grab the bubble that says letter picked, and I will click on it. And just like the prediction, it says letter P. Good. So we can now pass that information along to the first alphabet sprite, and that can start to interpret what we've done here. So I'm going to take a little break to chat with my audience on YouTube. But when we get back, we'll start working on that alphabet sprite. All right, we're back. So we just finished programming most of the letters used blocks now. Now we're going to go back to the alphabet blocks, and we're going to program what happens when we click those letters at the bottom of the screen. So let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to click back on the alphabet sprite again, and we're going to tell the game what to do when we get that evaluate player pick command. So as soon as we click the red letter, we sent a message that said evaluate player pick, and that's what's going to get us over to, sorry, checking something out here. Okay, so that's what's going to start the software checking to see whether that letter that you picked is the correct letter in the game. So let's go to our events. We'll add when I receive. Let me blow this up a bit for you guys. When I receive evaluate player pick. Now we're going to do two if statements in here. I could have put them all into the same if statement, just gone if this and that, but it would have made it really, really long. And so I just wanted to demonstrate to you guys again that two if statements inside each other are really the same as one if statement with an and. It'll check both things. If the first one's true, it'll go to the second one, basically. So let's set this up right now. So now the first thing we're going to check for is we're going to check and see if our game word, remember that's the game, the variable that represents the word that's up here at the top of the screen. Does that word contain the letter that we just clicked? So let's go down to our green operators, and towards the bottom here we have all these commands that have to do with text, and we're looking for the one that says a word contains a letter or contains something. So here it is. If apple contains the letter A is the one we're looking for. So that's really just checking the contents of a word to see if a certain letter is there. So let's go. Now we need to fill this up with the proper information. We'll say if game word. So let's zoom out here. Go back to our variables. If game word contains the letter that we picked, which is letter picked. So that actually makes sense if you read it as a sentence. If the game word contains the letter picked, then we can go do our stuff. But we're also going to be checking to. So here's the thing: when I get this, when I receive evaluate player pick, every single clone on the screen is going to start evaluating this, right? So if I tell the clone to show right now, every single letter of the alphabet is going to show. So let me just show you an example of that. So if I go show here. Don't do this yourself, guys. Let me save my file here. But I'm just going to click the green flag, start our program. I want to have a sneak peek and see what our actual word is. So I'm going to click on game word here to highlight it. And so my word is ignorant. Okay, so I know the letter I is in there. If I click the letter I now, watch, the entire word is going to show up. Click. And there we go. So the message got sent to every single letter. We only want the one or two letters that have the letter I in them, or in this, like sometimes words will have multiple letters in them, like hitting or something that has two T's in it, for example, right? So we want to do one more layer of if statement in here is the point, to check and see so that only the letter that's affected is the one that becomes visible. So we need an equal sign in here. Let's go back to our operators, equal. And we're going to say if the costume name, the name of this costume, so every single one of these guys is going to check their costume name and see what it is. So if, let's go to our looks menu, we'll go to the bottom and grab that one that says costume number, and we'll change it to costume name. If costume name is equal to the letter we picked, so let's go back to our variables, letter picked. If the costume name is the same, then we're going to show. So let's try that again. Click the green flag. Now let's see what our letter is. I'll just take a sneak peek here. You guys can do this too if you ever want to cheat at this game. Just look at game word. Our game word is again ignorant, so I'm going to type the letter I. And I can't type letter. I have to click on it. Click on I, and the I appears. If I click on a letter that's not there, like B, nothing will happen, but the letter will still disappear. This is exactly what we want to have happen, except when that happens, we're going to make our Hangman guy move over. And let's pick one more letter that I know is in there. Let's go O, and there it is. The O appears in the correct position. So we're already very much closer to getting a working game here, so let's keep going. All right, we're just going to play a pop sound here just to give a little bit of feedback that we've picked a letter. So let's go to our sounds menu. We'll go play sound pop. And to my mind, that just creates a much more satisfying little bit of feedback that you clicked. Or that we picked, that we actually found a letter here. So if I click on O, you'll see it makes that little pop sound. There we go. Now, we're going to change some variables just so the computer knows what just happened here. So let's go to variables. We're going to change a variable. We're going to change correct guess by 1. So we're going to add 1 to the total number of correct guesses. And this is how Scratch is going to figure out that, that we finished the word, basically. So when our correct guess is equal to the number of letters in the word, it will know we solved the puzzle, basically. And we're also going to set a variable here. We're going to set incorrect guesses to 0. So the idea is if we've piled up some incorrect letters on the other letters, it's going to get set back to 0 again here because we've actually done the correct guess. And next time we come around here again, we don't want, we want to reset that variable again, right? So when we miss letters, that variable is going to go up, but we're kind of resetting the puzzle here again. After we successfully click the puzzle, we're going to reset that incorrect guess back to 0 again. All right. So here's where we can do that winning condition that I was talking about. So let's grab another if statement. And we'll put it right underneath the first one. Not inside, but underneath. So it's inside the one if statement, but outside of the other one. And this is what it should look like. So an if, and then an if directly above it, and then one diagonal to it like this. Okay. So make sure it looks like that, and you'll be golden. Let me save my file. All right, so we're still doing stuff that happens if we pick the right game word here. We're just going to check now and see how many correct guesses we made. So we need an equal sign here. Let's go to our operators, equal sign. And I'm going to go to my variables and grab a bullet that says correct guess. So if the number of correct guesses is equal to the length of the word, the number of letters in the word. So let's find that length of. It's under our green operators again. Length of game word. So we're checking to see if the number of correct guesses is the same as the number of words in the puzzle. If that's true, we're going to broadcast a message. So let's go to our variable, or to our events. We'll broadcast a message that says you win. New message. Let's type in you win. Exclamation mark. All right, and we're going to reset that that correct guess variable now too. So we want to just get stuff set up for the next round again. So set correct guess back to 0 again. Now right underneath here is going to be is there an if else? So we're Maya's asking me if this is an if-else statement because this is my favorite mistake to make. But in fact, or Zach is asking, okay. So let me have a look in the chat here. So Zach's wondering if this is an if-else statement. No, it's not. There are no if-elses here. This is a little bit of a weird situation here. So we probably could have handled this in an if-else. But what's happening is if we pick the right thing, it's going to do the correct stuff, assuming we did a correct answer. And then right at the bottom here, we're going to stop the script. So we're going to stop it from getting down to the bottom. If we let it run to the bottom, it'll just do the stuff that happens if it was an incorrect answer. So this is a slightly different way of handling stuff, Zach. It was actually good of you to make a guess, as that's what we were doing here. But in this case, no, we don't need to do an if-else, because we're going to kill the code here if we get a correct answer, and we'll wait until it gets reactivated again in the future. So we'll do that with a command that says stop this script. It's under control. We'll grab the block here that says stop all, and we need to change it to stop this script. And now placement's very important here. We need to put it so it needs to be, hold it, am I looking at the if statements properly here? Oh, so actually Zach was correct that something was wrong here, and that was this if statement here. I think I did get one little bit wrong. So this if statement actually has to be inside of the second if statement. So I'm going to drag it in like this. Sorry. So let's have a look at this again. And I think I set this up wrong. I just wasn't looking at my documentation carefully enough. So let's have a close look at this, guys, and make sure we're doing the right thing. I just saved my file in case you want to reload it. So there's an if statement with the set variables on top of it. Over to the left is another if statement, and then they go up diagonally like that. So there's actually, this if statement is nested inside two other if statements. Okay, and then down below that, so I'm going to grab the stop this script. We're going to put it one level below the set correct guess. So let me put it in here, and you'll be able to see what it looks like. All right. So what's happening is, if the correct guess is equal to the length of the game word, we're going to broadcast the you win. And no matter what happens, at the end of all of this, we're going to stop this script. If we won, this always leads to a dead end, right? So we're checking if these two things are true. We're doing everything that's in here. If we win, we're going off to the winning thing. But even if we don't win, we're going to stop the script so that we don't move on to the else part, which is the second part that happens if we guessed wrong. So everything down below here has to do with wrong guesses. So sorry about that confusion, guys. Zach, thank you for helping me to point out that I had a little error here in my code. It looks like it wasn't the error you thought it was, but I could see that your spider sense was tingling, and that's really good. You're getting good coder instincts there, buddy. All right. So now we can go and add another if statement down below. So this is the if statement that checks to see if we're incorrect. You probably don't even need, I haven't tested this yet, but I have to assume that every time you get down here, you're going to have a situation where you've picked the wrong letter. So we don't really need to be testing to see if we picked the wrong letter, but I've coded it this way right now, and I think we should just continue working on that basis. I just don't want to break the game by accident, as I so often do when I start playing around on the fly and leaving my documentation behind. Okay, so before we do that if statement, we want to change our number of incorrect guesses by 1. So let's go change incorrect guesses. And what's that? Yeah, here it is. Incorrect guesses by 1. Oh, okay, sorry. So that makes sense. I think I just led you guys astray again. I wasn't reading far enough ahead of my code. So no matter what happens, we're going to change. We're assuming here we've changed guesses, but the test here, the if statement, is to see if if incorrect guesses are equal to the length of the game word. So, okay. So that incorrect guess, this is where it gets a little bit complicated, guys. So remember, every single sprite in your game word, in this case, 7 different sprites, are all reporting back. They're all listening to this evaluate player pick. And each time they find one, they're going to add 1 to the number of incorrect guesses. So they're basically saying, if the letter P is what I'm looking for, they're saying, is this a P? Nope. Add our incorrect guesses to 1. Is this a P? Nope. If it finds a letter P, then it will expose it and kill this code. But otherwise, it's going to get to the point where it gets 7 different guesses that are all wrong, and then it's going to know to hang our player because we missed the letter. So that's the way this works. It seems a little confusing, but so let's add it here. Now there's one other little glitch, and I'm not quite don't really understand why it would be, but the number of guesses advances faster than it's supposed to, and we end up we need to actually check and see. So there's 7 letters here. We need to check to see the 8th time rather than the 7th time. So we're going to have to add 1 to the answer. Just follow with me here and it'll make a bit more sense. So let's grab an equal sign from our operators. We're going to say if incorrect guess, so we're going to grab the bubble that says incorrect guess. If our incorrect guess is equal to, now we need a plus sign here. I told you we need a plus. So I haven't actually tracked down why we have to add 1 to this. It has to do with the way that we're checking the variables and the way that things advance. I could probably go in and explain it to you if I sat down for a few minutes. But the real point is when I tested this, it never worked until I added 1 to the number. And sometimes it's not really worth it to understand how the interactions of all the variables are going. You just know, okay, this doesn't work, let's fix it. It's just a little temporary fix that will get us going with the project and stops us from stalling, right? So we're going to go +1 here. And on the left side, we're going to say the length of the game word. So let's grab a green block here that says length of apple. We'll change that apple to, under our variables, game word, which is right here. So again, to explain this again, if every single letter is guessed and they all report that they're wrong, then we can hang him. So let's go broadcast that message now. So we'll go to events and we'll broadcast a new message that's called hang him. Hang him, hang him. There we go. And after that, we're going to reset our incorrect letters again. So let's go to our variables, set, and we're going to go set incorrect guesses back to 0 again, so we can restart again the next time with a clean slate. Okay, so we can almost test this out. What I'm just going to do is jump over to my backdrop where I've got my Hangman happening. And okay, so let's go over to our backdrop and it will tell it when I receive that Hangman message, events, when I receive hang him. We're going to go, we can play a sound here. I've already got some sounds loaded up under this backdrop, just a bunch of funny comical sounds. I'm trying to make this game a little bit goofy, right? So what we're going to do here is play a sound. We'll go start sound. And that sound is just going to be a random sound. So I'm going to go to operators, pick random from 1 to 4. And then I'm going to go next backdrop. Looks, which will change to the backdrop with him being hung once. And you remember the backdrops all increasingly just keep adding to the progression of the game. Okay, so we can actually test this out now. Let's go and play the game. Let me save my file first. All right, let's play the game. It's picked a word. And I'm just going to cheat again and see what the word is so we can test this properly. Our game word is testify. Testify. Okay, so I'm going to pick a correct letter first. Let's go T. And we got it twice. So there's an example of when a letter comes up twice, it works properly. But now I'm going to click on a letter I know isn't in testify. Let's try letter O. There we go. Let's try letter M. And this is working beautifully now. Letter N. Let's try a letter that we know is there, E. That goes back there. And then letter G. And letter R. And letter Z. And there we go. And now we're dead. Okay. So the game's working beautifully now. We've actually got pretty much everything going according to plan here. Let's look at our master plan again and see where we are. So we've got it. We're at the play point. Let me just go back to my live stream again here. So we've got the play part done. Display letters of the alphabet at the bottom of the screen and let the players click them to make a guess. Keep score. Track right and wrong guesses. Advancing the hangman. So we've actually accomplished that mission. So now we have to move on to the next step, which is at the end of every round, we check to see if there are words left on the list, and if there are words left on the list, we go and set up another word to run through the puzzle. And if there's not, we do a victory, which will be where the scaffold crashes down to the ground. Okay, so we're making good progress. We got a bit more to go here, but we're doing well. I'm just going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, guys. So we are ready to keep coding here. Let me get right to it. I just want to make actually, before I start this again, I just want to make sure my live stream is caught up with us here on Discord. Okay, I'm going to try one more intro, guys. Sorry about that. And we're going to be back inside the backdrop. Okay, guys, so we're back, and so we've got the first part of our game working very nicely now, and now we have to set up what happens if we die in the game, and what happens if we win. So we're going to go ahead and add some more code for that. Let's go right back to... All right, so we're still inside our backdrop here. Let's go grab a green flag, because we don't have enough. One thing we haven't done here is reset our graphics. You can see we got this "you win" graphic at the bottom here, and that's not right yet. So we're going to go when green flag clicked. We're going to switch our backdrop to 1, and that will reset your game for you, so that we're right back to the start with the gallows all set up and ready for our unfortunate stick man. All right, let's go grab a forever. Oh, I see here that I wanted to do that part. Okay, let's just keep working here. Okay, so I'm going to do a forever here. I'm going to say, so here's the part where we're going to see if our backdrop is at the point where we're hung. So if we've missed out entirely, we're going to die. The game will be over, right? We had Zach a little earlier in the chat telling us that the game, if you kept going next backdrop, it would eventually say you win, even if you lost. And so the reason is that it's not going to actually get to the end, because as soon as it gets to the 7th costume, it's going to end the game. The 7th one is the one where you lose, basically. So let's go in here. We're going to start checking to see which backdrop we're on. So we'll grab an if statement here. And we're going to say if backdrop number equals 7. So if under our looks, we're going to grab backdrop number, which is right here at the bottom. So this backdrop number, you usually won't see it. If you're inside a sprite, you won't see backdrop number. You'll see that the blocks change around when you're on backdrops, and that's something to be aware of, right? So if you're looking for a block like next backdrop and you can't find it, it's probably because you're in a sprite. And if you go over to your backdrops, you'll see it. You can use these blocks inside a sprite, but you have to kind of drag them over because you can't get them from the palette on the side here. So if backdrop number equals 7, which means we've died, we are going to do a little function here to make our screen go flashy. And it's not absolutely necessary, but what I've done is I've moved this over to a function just so that we can keep things tidy. So I'm going to go over to my blocks, click on make a block, and I'm going to type flash screen. And we're going to go do that right now. So when I get a flash screen message, we'll put the flash screen into our code. So that happens right away. Let's go save. So now we're flashing the screen. Let's see what happens when we flash the screen. The first thing we're going to do is any old graphic effects. So we'll go to our looks menu. We'll clear our graphic effects. And then we're going to repeat something. Actually, so let's just go grab a block here that says change color. We'll leave it on the side here because we're going to need that in a sec. All right, let's go back to our control blocks. We'll grab a repeat 10 times loop. So we're going to repeat 4 times. And all we're going to do is make the screen brighter, and then we're going to make the screen less bright again. So I'm going to grab this change color, change it to change brightness. I'm going to change brightness by 25. So we're going to go from 0 to 100. And now we're going to repeat. I'm going to duplicate this. So I'm moving my cursor over the word repeat, duplicate, and put it underneath. And all we're going to do here is change it by minus 25. And so let me show you what that looks like. I'm just going to click on flash screen, and you'll see the screen flash. There we go. Just a little ow, oof, as Aiden would say. to show us that we're in trouble here. And of course, you're also going to see the Hangman guy with his eyes X'd out. Let's go back to this green flag clicked script here, and we got a few more things to add inside this if statement. We're going to play a sound effect here. We're just going to play the famous dun 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 sound. I don't know if it's loaded up here or not. Here it is, dun dun dun. And that'll just tell our player that the game is over. We're going to play it until done because we don't want to stop the game until that music is done. And down at the very bottom here, we're going to stop the whole shebang by going stop all. And it'll stop all of the scripts in the whole game, and it'll basically get us back to that end game state. So we've now successfully ended the game. Let's try it out and kill ourselves again. So we'll go when green flag clicked. Let's go to our variables and show our game word, which is ignorant again. So let me try clicking on some letters. I, G, now let's pick some wrong letters. A, J, O, P, B, and once I click Z here, you see our game will be over. There we go. If you wanted to, you could make a little game over appear on the screen here or something along those lines as well, but I haven't bothered, so that's something that you guys can do when you're remixing the game if you're interested. Okay, so now we got a bunch more to do inside this backdrop here, so let's just keep going, okay? Let me save my file first, though. File save. There we go. All right. We also want to play a sound every time you get an incorrect answer. So I'm pretty sure there's no sound playing right now, right? Oh, there is. Have we done that part already? Oh, I got confused here. I think we've already done that. All right. So we got a few more things that are going to happen here. We need some more of the conditions here. I'm doing this out of the order that was in my documentation, but let's just finish up the backdrops here since we've got a couple more things to do here. So the first thing is when I receive win game, let's tell it what to do if we win the game. Let's go to our control events blocks. When I receive, you win. Oh, so actually, sorry, you win and game win are two different things as well. So I will do you win here. So this is going to be, actually, we're going to do this part later because it actually doesn't make sense in terms of the timing here. We're going to do a game win here, though. So we need another event here. I got game win mixed up with you win. Let's go new message, and we'll go game win. Sorry, so I'm even confusing myself here. So what's the difference between you win and game win? You win means you've won the round, you've guessed the word correctly. Game win means you've won like 4 or 5 of them in a row, and you've won all the challenges that are there, and then that will knock the scaffold over. So what we want to work on right now is you win. What happens if we get all the letters correct? Because right now nothing happens if we pick all of the letters in the word. So let's go start a sound here. We'll go to our sound menu. We'll go start sound. And that sound will be win. And I believe we already have it in there. Yes, start sound win. And now let's go control. And we'll repeat 3 times. I just, we're going to be okay, so what's going to happen is our little character, our little stick man's going to go beside. There's a costume for him to go beside the scaffold and start jumping up and down, basically, just like that. So we're going to get him to jump 3 times every time we win. So you could make it more than that if you wanted to. I'm going to go 3 for now, though. And inside there, we're just going to do a series of switch backdrops, okay? So we can do this with repeat loops, but I'm just going to do this the old-fashioned way. So we'll go switch backdrop to number 8, which is the first one of him winning. And then we're going to go to our control blocks, and we'll grab a wait, and we'll make it wait 0.1 seconds. All right, now we want to do the same thing 3 times. So I'm going to duplicate what I have here. I'm going to move my cursor over, switch backdrop, right-click, and duplicate. Now I've got 2 more of those. Now I'll try that again. I just accidentally triggered that. All right, so we're going to go from cost backdrop 8 to backdrop 9. So this is the old-fashioned way to do stuff. If you don't want to do stuff in loops, you can just do it manually, right? And that works. And then when we're out of this loop, we're going to switch back to the final costume, which is costume 8. So let's go switch backdrop back to 8 again, which is the beginning of the You Win. And we're going to wait 2 more seconds. And then we're going to reset the game again. So we're going to switch our backdrop then back to a blank puzzle. So we're ready for the next round. Switch backdrop to 1. So let me just try running this for you guys just to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to click on the screen on the when I receive You Win, and you'll be able to see. Let me hide that variable. Actually, I'll just move it over here. I'm going to leave this game worded up right now so that we can keep testing. So when I go You Win, there he goes. He jumps up and down, we play some victory music, and then the game resets itself. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, guys, we're back. I just want to really blast through the rest of this because we're running late today, and we're going to start with one little error in the code that Chris Copeman helped me point out. Let's get to that right now. So this cycle of costume changes is having him bounce up and down. So this is having him go up 8, 9, 10, and then he should go back down again 9. And then when it circles around again, he'll go back to 8 and then 9, 10. So it's going 8, 9, 10, 9, 8, 9, 10, 9, 8. And so again, it's going to take him through that entire cycle. When he's done, he's back on the ground again, and the rest of it's good. So we just needed to add one more cycle of switch backdrops to there to make that work properly. Okay, so we've got that going. Now, we're going to, because we're trying to get through here really quickly, I just want to finish off the last of the backdrop elements here, guys. So we're going to do what happens when I win the game. That means if I completely clear out the list and get every single letter right, we're going to, the first thing we're going to do is we want to stop all the other stuff from happening in this sprite because it's going to try to move us through a bunch of other animations, and we don't want to do that right now. So we're going to go to our control blocks, grab a stop all. We're going to change it to stop other scripts in this sprite, and that will stop everything else from advancing right now. Let's go play a sound. So I have a new sound in here called Collapse, and I just downloaded this off the internet, and it's just a sound of a wooden structure collapsing. Let me play it for you. And so that will work quite nicely here. Stop sound collapse, and so that's where we're going to have the scaffold collapse and fall over. All right, let's switch our backdrops. Let's go to looks. We'll go switch backdrop to number 11, which is the first one with the scaffold falling down. And then we're going to just cycle through some animations. So instead of doing it the long way like this, we're going to do this with repeats this time. Same idea, just we're going to do it inside a repeat loop. So repeat 3 times. Control, let's wait 0.1 seconds, which seems to be the best speed for quick animations. Then we're going to go next backdrop. So it's going to cycle through 3 different animations. And then we're going to play a little game over music. And the game over music that we're going to play, start sound, or this is the You Win sound. It's called Kazoo Fanfare. So again, some silly music for a game. Remember we had some silly music for the beginning, but I've disabled it for now, and we're just going to hook it up again at the end. So let me show you what this looks like when I get the game win. And there we go. The scaffold falls over, and our guy gets his hands into a victory pose, and everything looks great. Okay, we got to do the You Win function is working properly now for winning rounds. And let me just show you that. So let's get unfortunate here. I'm going to spell the word out. UNFO or UNATU. I've already done U and 4. I need an R, right? There we go. And you can see when I click the word correctly, we're celebrating and resetting the game. Everything's working really nicely now. But we still need to reset our game. So when we win, we've got to do some more stuff to get the round So we've got to clear this word off of here, delete the word off of the list, reset this game alphabet again. So we just got some cleanup work to do before we can do the next round again. So I am done with the backdrop now. We actually have no more coding left to do in here, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just go back to our letters used, and we'll reset that now. So, do we have a reset alphabet list there? Oh yeah, that just... Okay, so that's okay. Actually, we don't need to code this anymore. Let me have a look and make sure that we're done everything in here. Yeah, we had 3 blocks of code. There's one more optional thing that I'm going to show you in a second. But I'll do that at the end. So yeah, we're done with letters used right now. When the game resets itself, we're going to reset that alphabet list, but that's going to happen over under a different part. How about our underlines? Do they need to reset themselves? Yes. So when I receive, you win. Let's go to our events. When I receive, you win. We're going to delete all of the underlines to reset them. So we're just going to go to our control blocks and go delete this clone. Again, broadcasted messages are received by clones, but they're received by every single clone. So that's going to wipe out every single underline from the screen. Let me show you. I'm going to invoke that, and it's not happening. That's interesting. Let's see if it resets itself later. I'm pretty sure that it maybe only works if it happens at a certain point in the code, maybe? Really weird, eh? I would have thought they would... I know they disappear in the finished game, so let's just keep going here and see what happens. All right, and so now we're just back to the alphabet again, and we've got to do a you win condition in there as well that will reset the game. So over here, there we go. So you win. When I receive, you win. We're in the alphabet sprite. Let me save my work. All right, so back to our events. When I receive, you win. Okay, the first thing we're going to do here is that last block in our little planning document, which is check and see if there are any words left on the list, right? That's the last thing we need to do to decide if the game's really over or if we're just going to reset it to the next stage. So I'm going to grab an if statement in here. And we're going to say if the length of the word list is greater than 1. So if we still have words left on the list, I'm going to grab a greater than, which is the arrow pointing to the right. And let's go back to our variables. And we're going to look at our list variables because we're looking at our lists again, right? So if length of word list is greater than 1, then we're going to reset the round. And so here's the code we need. Oh, and this is an if-else. Okay, so let's get rid of this if. And we'll change it into an if-else. We'll move that greater than sign into there. Sorry about that, guys. I just noticed that this moment. All right, so we're going to say what happens if we win, and we need to reset the match, and if we win forever, right? So let's do that. So inside the first part of the if statement, we'll go wait 1 second. Then we're going to delete the word off the list. So let's go back to our list variables. We're going to find the delete word pick. So word pick, remember, is the variable that tells us which item on the list, 1 through 5 or whatever that we've got. So let's go to our variables. We'll grab the bubble that says word pick. Hold it. I don't even see that variable. Oh, the variable's here. Sorry, word pick. So delete word pick of word list. So item 2 of the word list. It'll delete that off the list. Then we're going to wait again. We just want to leave enough time for the players of the game to notice what happened. We don't want things happening so quickly that they're left going, huh? So you need them to understand that you've won the round here. And we also want to set our word pick variables, set. I'm going to do that above the wait, actually. I think I forgot to do that. Now, this is a weird little thing, but it seems like if our word pick isn't set to 0 right here, well, we get into a weird error message where where all kinds of stuff ends up getting deleted. This is something I just added at the last second, and it's hard to explain without going through a whole bunch of code. So just trust me, and we're just going to set that variable back to 0 again and wait 2 seconds. And then right after that, we're going to use that prefabricated command, which is under our events. We're going to go broadcast reset alphabet list, and that will talk to the alphabet list and get it to regenerate a letter A through Z. And then we're going to do all the stuff that we need to reset the game. So you remember those functions that we used at the beginning, pick random word, they were all under the green flag, so we can't call them again here. We could have had an event here to start this other than green flag. But since we didn't do that, we're going to call those functions here again. So right underneath broadcast, we're going to go pick a new word and then set up our game board again, which will get everything going again. And otherwise, if this isn't true, so if the length of our word list isn't greater than 1, if our list is blank, we're going to broadcast that game win event, which is broadcast game win. Okay, so as far as I understand it, that should be all the code here, other than one little optional bit that I wanted to add. So let's quickly blast through some different scenarios in this game and make sure it's all working properly. I'm just going to move this variable over so that we can cheat and see our answers to the game. Let's make it bigger here. Actually, I'm going to save my file first. All right, so you should have a finished game more or less now, guys. Let's go and play a quick round of it here. So here's my first word, trapezoid. I did devilishly hard words, didn't I? So let's win this round and see if it generates the next round. E, Z, O, I, and then D should solve this round. There we go. He jumps up and down, and then it should. Okay, so it hasn't reset something here, eh? That is weird. Let me just have another look and make sure. Did I change that variable back to 0 again when I receive that word pick to 0? Broadcast reset list. So I'm probably missing something. Oh, okay. There's one little block of code that I actually forgot, guys, and that's what's causing that little error there. So let's go. When I receive, we actually need 2 things to happen when I receive you win, and they kind of happen simultaneously. That's why I have a separate event here. And what that's going to do is change our score. So let's go change score under our variables. Change score by 1. And here's where we're going to delete the old alphabet clones out to stop them from doubling up again. So we're going to go delete this clone, which is under control. Delete this clone. Let me save again. Okay, so that should fix that little booger. Let's try it one more time. Our game word is testify. T-E-S-I-F-Y. That's one word. Now reset yourself. You can do it. There we go. And the number solved should have changed here, right? That was our score. I don't know why our score didn't reset itself here, which is weird. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. I'll have to have a look at that in a second, but let's just keep going here because I want to try and win the game. So let's go trapezoid. Oh, and our alphabet didn't reset itself after the word as well, eh? So our alphabet did not reset itself. It got a reset alphabet list command. Is there something I'm missing from reset alphabet list? Here's where I find all the little bits of code that I forgot to do in the original. Reset alphabet list is under letters used. The green flag, next costume, delete this clone. Again. We've done the same thing here. We have to delete the clone here. Yeah, so there's a couple of little blocks that just were so small that I didn't see them in the documentation. Let's go back to our when I receive, reset alphabet list, and again, this has to happen simultaneously. We're going to broadcast that message one more time. Oh, we're just going to delete the clones here. Sorry. So let's go control, delete this clone. Okay, so again, let's test it one more time to see if that works. Green flag. Elephant. So let's pick the letters in the word elephant. E, L, E, A, N, H, T. There we go. And our score still isn't advancing, but everything else is resetting itself, which is good. Zombie, Z, O, M. All right, I don't have time to play the whole game with you guys, but I think you can trust me that once we get up to 5, the game will be over and we'll knock ourselves out. So I'd rather not do that whole thing. I'm just interested in why that score isn't resetting itself. So our score, so we're changing our score variable. So we're going change score by 1. Is the variable a different name than I think it is? When I go change score by 1, it does go up. So are we not changing that score inside our alphabet when you win? We're going, are we not saying change score by 1 somewhere? I thought that I had done that already. Okay, so I thought I already put that, but let's go just add it somewhere under you win here. We'll go change score by 1 and let's see if that works now. So my word is zombie. Z O M B E. And now my score went up by 7. Oh no, so it goes up once for each clone. That won't work under you win. So there's a different spot where we have to change the score around, eh? I'm having a quick look at the code. All right, guys, we're very, very close to being done here. I think that I'm going to just leave this because it's actually 17 minutes after. I will go figure that out, and tomorrow on our live stream, I will just mention it, and I'll just add it to the text to the text description for this video file as well, just so that in case anyone needs to know how to get this score working properly. But I'd rather not get you guys slow down because we're actually running very late here. So one last little bit of optional code. I think our game's basically done here, but I just wanted to tell you, if you want to add to your code to make it so that you can hit letters of the alphabet on your keyboard instead of clicking on them to make this happen, I'm just going to show you. You're going to have to do it once for every letter of the alphabet. Just let me quickly show you what it looks like. Go to letters used again. And so we're going to have to do a series of code things here for every single time we do, for every letter of the alphabet. So for example, let's go when. So let's go back to our events here. We'll go when space key pressed, and we're going to change that to the letter A. So when I press the letter A on my keyboard, we're going to set that letter picked variable, set letter picked to A. And we're also going to have to evaluate this in here. So we're going to say, oh yeah, so here's where we have to get it to disappear from the list. Normally we have these things delete when they're clicked, right? But because we're not clicking on it, we have to delete them manually here. So we're going to have all the clones check themselves to see which costume they're wearing. And if they're wearing the A costume, then they're going to delete it. So let's grab an equal sign in here. And we're going to go letter picked. So our variable is called letter picked. If our letter picked is equal to our costume name, which is over in looks towards the bottom, costume name. If we're wearing the proper costume, then delete this clone, which is under control, delete this clone. So what that will do is enable the, so when I click the letter A, you'll see when I start the game, it will, so there's actually 2 A's in this word, so it should work. I'm just going to type on my keyboard, letter A. You see the A disappears. Ooh, and it didn't evaluate the player pick because I haven't told it to do that. So let's go evaluate player pick, which is under events, broadcast, evaluate player pick. Let's put it above the if statement. Okay, one more try here, green flag. ignorant. So ignorant has an A in it. I'll hit the A on my keyboard, and there's my A. It removed it from the list and added it to my word list. So it's all working beautifully. Okay, so if you want to do this, you're going to have to repeat it 26 times, right? I'm just going to go duplicate, make the next one B, and then change this letter to B, and keep doing that for the entire alphabet, and then you will be good. All right, so my finished version of the game, which will be saved in the remix room, will have all these letters set up. And so if you don't want to take the time to do it yourself, you can just grab my finished version of the game. That is about it for today. I'm sorry I ran over. Tomorrow we are back with Asteroids, that good old 1979 arcade classic. I'm really excited about this one. We've got a really nice looking remake of the game set up that plays and looks very much like the original game. So I'm actually really excited about that. So I will see the rest of you guys tomorrow. Please remix this game, change the graphics around, do something cool with it, add some cool sound effects. Oh, I forgot to tell you, by the way, at the beginning, let's make that goofy sound play as well. So right under the green flag here, we're going to start that funny fanfare, and that's going to be part of us